Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. In this session, we will be discussing on how to create a storage account in Azure. And also we will see about files, queue and tables in the storage account. We will see data protection in storage account. So if I go here, let me go to Azure portal. There is a portal you will be seeing. And let's create a resource called storage accounts. You can search here, storage account. It is going to give you this icon. Click on that storage account. Click on storage account. And first thing you should be seeing something called subscription and then resource group. If I go for create a new resource group, CloudCareer360 is my resource group. Click OK. So subscription is mandated to create any resource, and resource group is something which is going to hold all your resources for a project. So it should be definitely given. This is not an optional. And storage account name, this is also a mandatory field. Let's say we are creating Blob storage account. Blob storage carrier 360. This is my storage account name because we have to give a unique name and all the characters should be lowercase. And region, a place where your data center is located and where your data is going to store. I'm choosing region, but generally when you go for a real-time projects, your region should be very close to your clients or customers location, because the latency is going to high if it is in a different location. And there are also something country to country policies. They will not allow your data to move away from your country. So always region should be a place where your customer is located, and near to the customer location only we should have our regions. So if your customers are based out of US, you can create any region in US. If your customers are based out of India, then you have to choose whether the people stays in South India or is it for entire India. Then you can go for Central India or South India or West India, like that. So region should be very close to your customer's location because of latency issues and geopolitical issues. Preferred storage type, I'm going with Azure Blob Storage or Data Lake Gen 2. And if I create the performance, I'm going with SSD. That is recommended one. If you wanted a premium SSD drives in the backend of your storage account, underlying this should be an SSD premium one, then you can go for this premium one, but that is costlier and it gives you immense performance. And redundancy. Redundancy is something how your data has to be stored. How many copies of data you need it, and what kind of SLA you needed for your data storage. Let's say if I choose local redundant storage, we have three things here. Local, you have zone, you have Zeo zone. So these are the four types we have. Local means data is going to be stored in primary region, whatever you have chosen. In my case, I have chosen a region as East to West. My data is going to be stored in East to West, but along with the one snapshot of my original data, I'm going to get another 2 copies that is taken care backup by Azure. If something happens to my data server, whatever it is storing, then these 2 copies will be given to us for reading purposes. So Azure, on safer side, they take another 2 copies along with our original one. So in this case, we will have 3 copies of data backup. When you go for zone related, zone is something you will be having data located in the same region, whatever we have chosen. I have chosen in my case as East to West. So your data stays there. But the thing is, you are going to get 3 copies like a local one. Difference is now, let's say consider zone like a multiple buildings there. If your data is stored in one building, 1 copy, and another building, another copy, 1 more copy. Like this, if your data is going to store in 3 buildings, for example, your data is going to be stored 3 copies. So if one building power supply is disrupted, or if in one building the network connection is not there, you will have another 2 buildings in the same region where your data is present and it is available, so that Microsoft gives you read permission to get the data from that location, so that your customers won't get any blocked because of some issue at the data center. So this is another facility they are going to be given with the help of zone. In a simple words, your data is stored across multiple buildings. So finally, Zio. In Zio, your data is going to be having 6 copies. Why 6 copies? 3 copies in primary region. In my case, East to West. And the second 3 copies are going to be stored in secondary region. This is not in control of ours. Azure is going to automatically store another 3 copies in secondary region. That might be West US or something else, West US 2 or something else. Azure chooses based on the strategy. It is going to choose automatically. So mostly it will go to West US if your primary is East US. What happens here if entire primary region is affected by cyclone or earthquake or some kind of natural calamities? If your data is not available, secondary region will be up and they'll be giving you data for read purposes to your customers. Zio zone, it's a combination of zone and Zio. Here also you'll have 6 copies, 3 copies in primary, 3 copies in secondary, and your data is stored across multiple buildings instead of single building. Right? So this is what about redundancies. Now, if I go back and choose local for a cheaper storage, I don't want to spend much bucks about my project one, where I'll go with local, but in real time, they will be choosing based on the project sensitivity. The zones can be divided, the redundancy options. And if I go to the next tab, if we scroll a little bit below, you have something called hierarchical namespace. As in our previous video, we discussed hierarchical namespace is only supported for ADLS Gen 2 storage accounts. So if I enable this check mark, this is going to become ADLS Gen 2 storage account. If I disable this, it is going to become Blob storage account or general purpose storage account. So in this lab, we'll be creating Blob storage account. And in Blob, you will not have these additional facilities for our Blob. And if I go for allow access tier, so we have 3 types of access tiers. This is also very good concept. Hot, whenever you keep your data or upload data, by default, it goes into hot tier. What is hot tier? Whenever you wanted to read the data will be immediately accessible for you. And if the cost is, for example, 1 rupee, the hot tier costs 1 rupee. If you go to cool tier, That means if your data is not immediately used, it is infrequently available for you. You are going to store unnecessary data reading. Let's say if I read only from last 2 years of data, I don't read greater than that. That is a clear my project definition. We have an agreement, only we will give you 2 years. But some people randomly, they might ask third year data. So instead of keeping hot and paying 1 rupee, you switch it to cool and pay less than that 1 rupee amount. It might be costing you 80 paise or 70 paise or 60 paise for the cool tire. And the cold. Cold is you're not even reading your, it is very, very rare scenario you'll get out of 100. Not even one scenario might face that cold data reading for that data for 4 years or 5 years data. Then you can push the data to cold tire and you can pay in a cheaper way. So these are the additional options you get from the Microsoft to save further cost. And if I go for next one, public network access, you can enable this or disable based on your project. They'll usually in projects, they go with private endpoint connections. That Azure DevOps team is going to take care of you. As a data engineer, you don't need to worry about creating all these things for the real project. You'll not get a chance to create this as well. But we should understand what are the options we have there. Data protection is very crucial. If you see here, it is mentioned 7 days by default. That means if something got deleted from my storage account, I will have access to it, the deleted item, for 7 days. Though it was deleted, I will have access to it for another 7 days. I'll show you where you can access that. This is also one of the great feature. Usually you can go from 1 day to 365 days. Up to 365 days it is allowed. If you go beyond that, it is not going to allow. And if I keep 366, it is going to say it is not allowed. The number should be between 1 and 365. Ideally, projects keeps for 30 days, 90 days. That is a max for the data protection part because they have to pay for that. The backup facility, whatever you're having, you have to pay additionally, right? So it should be max 30 days or 7 days is also fine. Encryption part, we have two types of encryptions. These are again related to your storage encryptions. You have Microsoft managed keys. That is the encryption key they are using from the Microsoft end. You don't need to take care of anything. They will be taking care. If you have some concerns, if you wanted to create your own key, you can go with customer managed key and you can create that. So you can keep it in Azure Key Vault and you can link that Azure Key Vault to this customer managed key so that based on your key only, the data gets encrypted in the backend. This is for data at rest and data at movement kind of concept. So your data, if you wanted to keep encryption, Microsoft always does that. But if you have some concerns and if you wanted to create your own, then you are always welcome to use customer managed keys. And I'm saying review and create here. So let me create this storage account. Click on create. Go to resource. This is the image where you can see my storage account is created. How will I figure it out whether it is a ADLS Gen 2 storage account or whether it's a blob storage. If you come to properties tab here, you can see hierarchical namespace as disabled. This is the only way you can figure it out when you are opening a storage account. We have other methods, but when you open a storage account and instantly want to see, this is the only way we can figure it out. And if I have to go below, under the data storage sections, I have something called containers. Container is a section where your data gets actually uploaded, where data engineers utilize it as a storage. Definitely you have to have a container. Without that, we can't store the data in the storage account. So let me give my container name as CloudCareer and click validating. And once a container is created, inside this, I'm going to create or upload my files. If I go to add directory, this is showing it as virtual directory. As we explained in the previous video, by default, Azure Blob Storage does not have hierarchical namespace, but you can create virtual folders. Virtual folder is something, if you upload a file, then only the folder structure will remain. Otherwise, it will be vanished. You cannot give any other permissions on the virtual folders. So let's see that once, 2026. Let's go for 0315. And if I click OK, then you can see the folder structure it is created. As I did not upload any file here, if I go back, then it automatically removed the folder structure because those are virtual folders. Without a file uploading, that will not be available. Now, if I have to upload a file here, add directory, click OK, and let's upload a file. Browse for files. And if I go for some file, upload, I'm uploading some PPT here. So as I said, storage account supports all type of file formats. PPT is a unstructured format. I can still upload there. So this is about uploading file here. It is taking some time because it's a 2.717 MB. So based on my network, it has took some time and the PPT is available here. And if I go back, then I can see my folder structure is still available. And if I right click here on the folder, I only have two options, copy URL and delete. Okay. I don't have any other options because I cannot create ACL permissions on folder level. Now, if I have to delete this folder, select and delete. Then my folder got deleted. As per our explanation, we have seen data protection tab, which was default 7 days available. That means whatever I have deleted, it should be available for 7 days. If I go here and select here, show active and deleted blobs, I should see the storage account which was deleted, the folders which were deleted, and you can see deleted. Right click here and say undelete so that you can recover whatever you have deleted. It can be easily recovered and it will be available for 7 days. Beyond that, then it will delete from the backup also and you cannot recover. So this is data protection. And this feature is called as soft delete feature. Deleting and getting recovered. So when you delete it, it's not permanently deleting. It will delete, go to the deleted objects and it will wait for 7 days. Then after it will permanently get deleted. So this feature, we call it as soft delete feature in data protection. Now, if I go a little bit back to my storage account, I can also see other three storage systems available here. One is file shares. File shares is used. File shares is used for SSIS packages. If I have to run my on-prem SSIS or my legacy SSIS packages in cloud, then I have to upload them to file shares. So this method is called as lift and shift mechanism. File shares are basically used for that, and also for disk encryption, passwords, you can keep it in the file shares as well. That is another use case. But for data engineers, we use for SSIS package execution, a legacy on-premise ETL suite from Microsoft, which is called as MSBI suite. We can use that for file shares where we can upload them. Queues, basically when you go for real-time event streaming, queues are also can be used by us. When you go for autoloader concept in Databricks, and on the file level, your first information comes to these queues. It will let the system know that there is a new file, and autoloader process that new file. So queues also used by data engineers. And table, these are NoSQL kind of tables. I haven't used this tables concept anywhere. I did not find any useful. And if I go for next one, on the security and networking part, you have something called access keys and shared access signatures. Basically, shared access signatures can be used to share files by granting them access. By granting them access, we can share files to external people and they can directly download. If I can see from here, right click on the file, generate SAS. Oh, sorry. Generate SAS. Here you have to give enough permissions for a person to download. If you wanted to give only read only permission, you can give only read option. But if you wanted them to download, you can give add, create, and write permissions so that they can download the file from the given link automatically. And you have to give start date and end date based on how much time you will be giving access to them for this particular file. And you can choose the uh, uh, region of the place where you are located. You can choose set up it that, and you can give them as per the permission. You can generate a token. It will be available below, and this URL can be shared by people, shared so that they can download the file. And SAS token also is used for different purposes. And if I go back to again containers, there is something called access keys. Access keys generally being used by applications like Data Factory or Synapse or other applications. When you wanted to connect to your storage account or Databricks, everyone uses access keys for connecting to storage account and getting data through these access keys. This is a permission which you will get for connecting to your storage account and download that files. Basically, applications uses this like ADF or Synapse or Databricks or Fabric. All those things can use this connection and get the data from the storage accounts. And regarding roles, if I have to give some person who came to my project who is a data engineer, if I have to give them permission, we will be giving for data engineers Azure Blob's data contributor role. You can see here, Blob, Azure Blob data contributor role is the permission you have to give for a data engineer so that he can create, remove, and delete the files or folders or upload a files or folders. So this permission is you should ask as a data engineer to your admin team. And the reader is the permission we can give for data analysts for Power BI guys because they only read the data. And the delegator is something who owns rotation of the access keys or something, but this is not generally useful. And you have owner. If I give owner storage blob data owner, then you can give other people also permission on the storage account. So this is about the access related things we should be keep in mind as part of the storage accounts. And that's it for this recording. Thank you all. We'll see with the next recording on a different topic. Thanks everyone.